selection, then prepare to be spellbound by a little mushroom magic.
The Italians really appreciate their food, and that includes the delights of mushrooms which grow wild in profusion in the woodlands and plantations. Autumn marks an extraordinary festival in the Alba region of northern Italy. At dawn on a Saturday morning, aficionados from all over the country, and indeed the world, gather in the town of Alba to buy and sell one particular kind of fungus, the most extravagant of them all. It's the famed white truffle, Tuber magnatum. The local hunters, the triffolao, and the middlemen and the buyers engage in a deceptively casual preamble, a ritual to be gone through before terms are finally agreed on.
And these sell for some pretty extraordinary prices. These black ones are the same as the ones we get in England, and they are comparatively cheap. They come from Umbria, and they sell for something like £15 a kilo. Now, on the other hand, if you want to buy one of these sell for something like 2.5 million lire a kilo, which if I translated is something like £1,250. There was one that sold here today, half a kilo in weight, for £1.5 million lire, which is quite a lot of money. They export a lot of them. They export some to West Germany. They also, for some reason, export a lot to San Diego in California. They are pretty keen on them there.
A truffle or tartufo this size will sell for hundreds of pounds, and a shrewd triffolao makes a good living. Aroma is the mark of a fine specimen. As truffles are costed by the gram, they need to be weighed minutely. Italian prices seem to be arrived at by adding an awful lot of noughts. Easy to miss one. If the prices seem unbelievable, it's because the truffle is such a rare find. Few things have frustrated man more than his attempts at truffle cultivation. You can't plant them. The wholly underground fruiting body develops around the roots of certain trees, mainly oak, poplar, beech and hazel. It's also very fussy about climate. So all the truffle farmer can do is provide the optimum conditions in plantations like this and hope for the best. Pigs have always found the smell of the truffle irresistible, and they've helped to distribute the spores through their digestive systems. But as the number of wild pigs diminished, so did truffles. There are 3 main species, all on chalk soils. Tuber aestivum, or summer truffle, in areas like southeast England. Tuber melanosporum, the famous black truffle of France. And Tuber magnatum, the white truffle of Italy.
When I die, I would like to lie on a bed of truffle, actually. It's a fantastic thing. It's the combination of all the smells of the world you can imagine, combined and concentrated in one little potato. And wonderful. You eat the smell of truffles. You don't eat the truffle itself.
Quand vous enlevez le grain, ça devient une chair fine. Autant la peau est rugueuse, dure, ferme. Autant l'intérieur est très doux, presque comme une pêche. Et surtout, c'est son parfum, avec un goût de, moi je dis de caramel, de caoutchouc, de différents produits très difficiles. C'est un mélange incomparable, mais ça vous prend plein la tête, et puis quand vous le mangez, plein la bouche. Et c'est très bon, c'est très doux. Surtout la truffe mangée fraîche, coupée en tranches, simplement sur du pain, c'est délicieux.
It is very difficult to explain. It's just the flavour is unique. It's like nothing else. The white truffle and the black truffle, they have their own unique flavours. And you can't get it in any other way. There's no substitute. It's a very pungent flavour. I think, of course, when you get a little tiny speck of black truffle in a large slice of pâté, you think, oh, well, this is a great con trick. But when you really get a proper truffle, and you bake it, perhaps, or you just cook it in a little white wine, and you eat it, or you eat, my favourite way, loads of truffle in scrambled eggs, then you really do see what it's all about.
Because no one's ever succeeded in cultivating truffles, there's a large element of luck to finding them. The truffle season's always raised a lot of excitement in poor country areas. Pigs were the traditional truffle hunting animals, but they had some definite disadvantages.
D'autre part, quand c'était les cochons qui cherchaient les truffes, c'était uniquement les truies, les cochons femelles, les truies. Parce que la truffe, le parfum de la truffe, ressemble à une hormone mâle. Donc la truie trouvait cette truffe naturellement, mais a tendance aussi à s'exciter et à devenir dangereuse. Tant que la truie était petite, ça n'était pas grave, le fermier pouvait la tenir. Une grosse truie, le fermier ne peut plus la tenir. Il est arrivé que les cochons mangeaient les truffes, ou que les gens pouvaient se faire mordre. Quand ils voulaient prendre la truffe au cochon, ils pouvaient se faire mordre. Ça pouvait être dangereux.
Although the French and the Italians may argue over who has the best truffle, they're agreed on one thing. Pigs may have had the nose, but they lack the discipline for the job. So nowadays, it's the hounds that do the hunting. Most of the dogs are crossbred, and the favourites are either Labrador or Pointer.
Dai pan, lascia lì, lascia stare. Dai pan, dai. Dai, chica, dai, brava, Piano, piano, Leo, piano. Basta, aspetta, aspetta. 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 Lascia lì. Pinga, va. Pinga. Via piano, su. Pinga. Piano. 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 Perché ci sono diverse zone che per gelosia e tutto mettono il veleno e fanno morire i cani. Allora uno li abitua ad andare con le museruole, loro non possono più mangiare niente e uno è tranquillo, perché sa che il cane andando per tartufi si allarga un pochettino, no? Non ne sta proprio vicino. Allora poi di notte noi non vediamo e loro possono mangiare qualche cosa e rimanere avvelenati.
The Truffoli are a bit diffident about how many truffles they collect in a season.
Ma guardi, non si può dire, perché ci sono delle stagioni che uno può togliere 5 kg di tartufi, ci sono delle stagioni come quest'anno che uno toglie 1 chilo di roba, va proprio secondo le annate dei tartufi, perché il tartufo è un fungo, allora se non viene la pioggia per tempo il tartufo non c'è.
A lot of the truffles go abroad, but many also finish up in the high street shops of Alba.
Arrivederci. Well, after a little trouble with the price there, there's a whole industry geared to these truffles. They don't just sell them fresh. They sell them dried, and you can buy them in olive oil or brine. They even go as far as to produce an olive oil which has little pieces of tartuffe in the bottom of it to give it flavour.
It's such a cult that entire shops are devoted to the sale of fungi. They're boxed, dried, pickled. Truffles stand side by side with porcini and others. In the markets, they sell box after box of wild mushrooms during the season, fresh from the woods. It's very much a cottage industry. Here they're selling honey fungus, ironically, the gardener's foe in England.
They have a completely different attitude to mushrooms here. They're not all squeaky clean and the same size like ours. They come strictly as they are in the field. They also sell a lot of different varieties. Honey fungus is very popular out here, as incidentally is the good old cep, which they call porcini. And this is a good excuse for me to go and buy some.
Cep is almost a national dish. There are few restaurants that don't have porcini on the menu, often as a course by itself. There are books for cognoscenti. It's all part of Italian tradition.
The Romans were among the pioneers of mushroom cookery. They had some very elaborate recipes for them, some of which were included in what is probably the earliest European cookery book. It was written in the 3rd century AD by one Caelius Apicius, from where the name epicure comes. Now, Apicius was no slouch when it came to eating, but the twist in the tale is that although he was worth a small fortune when he died, he was so paranoid about not being able to keep up the good life that he poisoned himself.
The good life got rather out of hand in the twilight years of empire, though. Sow's udder, roast thrush and peacock's brains were just a few of the delicacies on offer. But as more and more money went on the importation of exotic foods, the authorities became seriously alarmed. New laws forbade the use of certain animal products, but vegetables, including mushrooms, were exempt. The Romans had special vessels called boletaria for cooking fungi, and even trusted slaves weren't allowed near. But of course, the proof of the truffle is in the eating. I was treated to a little indulgence called a pranzo speciale. 14 courses for which one needs an athletic digestion and ideally several weeks of training.
This is a wonderful smell.
For restaurateur Renato, truffles are close to religion. He has an instrument called a mandolino to drift those delicate flakes of tartufo over the pasta.
Grazie, Senore. These are the white truffles of Alba, and the traditional purist way of serving them is just shredded with a very special knife on top of the tagliatelle. Right, let's go. This I'm going to enjoy. How can you eat?
My Italian companion was clearly in training. I was until about the 5th course, or was it the 6th? Renato uses wild mushrooms in a wide variety of dishes.
We prepare the traditional dishes of the Langhe that are many and varied, but each one is based on the use of mushrooms and truffles. They can be eaten raw, in a salad, or cooked in several ways. It mainly depends on the variety and the size of the mushroom. Small mushrooms are best used in sauces and salads. Bigger ones are delicious fried or cooked in other ways. Truffles should never be eaten on their own. They are a perfect complement to less savory dishes. Never use truffles with the tangy sauce. This would kill the truffle's aroma. We use truffles with fonduta, a traditional melted cheese recipe of this area. Also, they are very good if used as a starter in a fresh salad, but they are at their best with hot food.
By course number 10, this particular gourmet was fading fast. But every dish on that menu was truly memorable. If the Italians are great mushroom gourmets, so are the Chinese. And we've gained some introduction to the delights of wild mushrooms through the spread of Chinese restaurants. In Hong Kong markets, where you can buy just about anything that's edible, fungi are on sale in profusion.
But this isn't Hong Kong, it's London, Chinese Quarter in Soho. And like any Chinese quarter in any large city, it has its Chinese supermarkets. And in there, you can buy a marvelous range of different kinds of fungi, which is a very good idea if you've neither the time, nor the inclination, nor the right kind of countryside to go out and pick for yourself. I've got Jew's-ear, cauliflower fungus. They even actually gift wrap them, although the price is pretty exorbitant. That's shiitake, so you can send those like a box of chocolates to a friend. Although they do also think that these have very special properties.
Mushrooms don't recognize national boundaries. Torben Humler is a Danish-American with an Austrian wife, and they grow Japanese mushrooms. Where else but in France?
I just got involved in it with a thought in mind just of growing mushrooms for the family and maybe for some friends and stuff like that. But I was never thinking of doing anything on a commercial scale.
The Humlers grow shiitake on compressed wood shavings in what look like conventional mushroom sheds. Humler regards them as indispensable to healthy eating.
Look at me. Well, I eat them every day. And I'll tell you, my cholesterol level, and between you and me, we eat cream, we eat butter, we eat everything we want to eat without restrictions in this house. My cholesterol level is 2.06. Normally it should have been 2.65 or thereabouts. It's extremely low. There are, to the best of my knowledge, 2 pharmaceutical companies in Japan who are authorized to sell a pharmaceutical product based on extracts from the mushroom for the purpose of lowering the cholesterol level. Also, it lowers the hypertension, reduces the hypertension more correctly. And it is being used also for certain cancer treatments. I believe very limited.
Anxious to give the shiitake French appeal, he sells them as Lantin de Chêne, but they still taste the same.
Shiitake has a tremendous versatility because it has a flavor which is delicate. It doesn't really dominate when it's fresh. So you can mix it with anything. You can mix it with fish, which are very, very delicate. You can mix it with game, which is very heavy in its flavor, and it comes out right.
There's a tiny but growing shiitake industry in Britain. In the depths of Devon, mycologists from Seale-Hayne College are experimenting with growing on logs, but in natural conditions out of doors. It's something we may be growing very soon in our back gardens, and perhaps we'll all get healthier. Bill Slee drills out oak logs culled from some disused woodland. He then inoculates them with shiitake spawn contained in small dowels. They're hammered into the hole and then sealed to keep out unwanted pests.
If we take a log,
you can see where they've been inoculated with the spawn at various points here. Now, when the spawn starts to grow, it'll appear at the end of the log, and when you get these white patches, which show that the spawn's growing down, that'll slowly fill the whole log, and when the whole log is colonized, it'll be ready to produce fruit, and that'll normally take about 18 months.
The way the logs are stacked is important. It influences the efficiency with which fruiting bodies develop and the shapes into which the mushrooms grow. To persuade the mycelium to produce mushrooms, some unlikely treatment is needed, dousing the wood in a water tank.
Essentially what you're trying to do is shock the log to make it think that there's something going wrong with the environment around it. And if you dip it in cold water for 48 hours or so, then the mushroom thinks there's something going wrong with the environment, produces the fruit to try to release the spores to continue its existence. And so that's essentially all it is. On the best strains we've picked over 1 kilo of fruit per log in the first season of production. North American figures suggest that maybe 1 pound of fruit a year. On our best logs, we've doubled that already. But on other logs, we've got nothing at all. So it's tremendously variable. There's an awful lot of research work to be done.
Bill Slee's partner works in the laboratory culturing the spawn.
Farmers can send away and obtain spores from other people, but unfortunately at present they can't really obtain them from us, because we have been supplied our spawn from colleagues, scientific colleagues, mushroom research institutes, on the basis that they be used only for research purposes at the moment. Now, I think, apart from any legality of bulking it up, I think we would be betraying a trust of these people if we did bulk it up. So I feel it's rather unfortunate that we are not in a position to be able to supply this as yet to farmers. But a time will come where we should be able to, and I hope that we can make this available to anyone, because that is, after all, part of the object of this exercise, to provide it as an alternative enterprise.
We've had a lot of interest. Literally hundreds of letters have come in, but we're still seeking research funding. And it's a kind of project that's something the Ministry of Agriculture aren't very keen to fund, it seems. Nobody knows who should be doing it, whether it should be a MAF project, because it's food production, which it is, or whether it should be to do with woodland management, which makes it Forestry Commission or Natural Environmental Research Council or something like that. Oak woodland is the richest type of ecosystem, or one of them, that you'll find in Britain. And in the southwest at least, a lot of the oak was coppiced in the past for charcoal and for tannin manufacture. Now there's a threat to that woodland with conifers. If you can actually use that coppice oak productively and get mushrooms from it, it'll encourage people to manage it again. And a lot of conservation organisations have approached us, saying that they're interested in developing mushroom enterprises to try to prove that you can use traditional oak woodland in Britain productively.
Well, that's our ramble through the magical world of mushrooms. If you think about it, there's something there for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a painter or a photographer, whether you want to learn something of the science, whether you want to collect them for eating, or whether you just want to revel in some marvelous countryside. If you're going to collect fungi, remember that they're living things, and like any other living thing, they need treating with respect and they need conserving. So do the needs of landowners and nature reserves. We should all be doing our bit for conservation. We should perhaps be treating the countryside as an extension of our own backyard, our own garden. We have a responsibility to treat it well. Fungi really have been grossly maligned. They've given me a heck of a lot of pleasure. I happen to think that they are some of the most extraordinary forms of life on Earth. I hope this series has done something to redress the balance in their favour.
And please remember that you should never cook or eat any mushroom unless you can be certain that it's absolutely safe.